In the shadows of imperial palaces and the echoing sands of Arrakis, few names are spoken with such hatred and such awe. Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, the butcher of Lankavale, the tormentor of Atreides' heirs, the architect of 1,000 cruelties. But beneath the grotesque weight of his body and his unspeakable appetites lay a mind as sharp as any mentat's, and a political will as relentless as any emperor's. This is not the tale of a monster. This is the revelation of the man who mastered fear and weaponized decadence to survive in a universe that devours the weak. He was not born into evil. He was shaped by power. In the cold corridors of Giedi Prime, the Baron rose not by virtue of strength, but by exploiting the very soul of the Imperium: greed, secrecy, and perception. Where House Atreides cloaked itself in honor, Harkonnen dealt in whispers. Where others sought noble alliances, he forged corruption into empire. He did not crave love, nor legitimacy, only leverage. In a world ruled by invisible hands, Vladimir Harkonnen made himself a puppeteer. He understood that fear was more efficient than loyalty, and that loyalty, in the Imperium, was always for sale. His court was a theater of brutality, designed not just to punish but to remind. Every act of torture was a proclamation. Mercy is weakness. Pity is extinction. The Bene Gesserit saw in him a brute, but they underestimated him. They saw only his grotesqueries, never his cunning. His genetic defiance, fathering a daughter rather than the son demanded, was not ignorance but control. Even in his compliance, the Baron sabotaged the Sisterhood's plan, an act of spite cloaked as obedience. He knew the game they played, and he played it with poisoned pieces. In the breeding charts of the Sisterhood, he was a footnote. In reality, he was a flaw in their tapestry, an intentional disruption. On Arrakis, his cruelty was not chaos, it was strategy. By installing his nephew Rabban to reign with blood and terror, he laid the groundwork for Feyd-Rautha's arrival as a savior. The beast was never meant to rule, only to fail. And in that failure, the Baron intended to crown his real heir, not just with a planet, but with the hearts of its oppressed. It was a masterstroke of political theater, a tactic borrowed from ancient tyrants. Engineer despair, then deliver the illusion of mercy. His manipulation of House Carina was equally deft. To Shaddam IV, he offered military muscle and deniability. To the Landsraad, he sold fear as a stabilizer. While others waged open war, Harkonnen moved through back channels, silencing dissent with blackmail, debt, and assassination. His vision was not just of conquest, but of systemic domination. He knew that control meant entrenchment, not just occupation. And then, there was Feyd. He saw in the boy not a son, but a legacy, a vessel into which he could pour his ambition and cruelty, refined and controlled. The Baron's greatest dream was not conquest, but continuity. He did not want power for power's sake. He wanted to be remembered. Yet in all his schemes, he could not account for prophecy. He could not calculate the chaos of a Fremen messiah or the vengeance of a Bene Gesserit mother. His undoing came not from strength or strategy, but from a child he had tried to erase. Alia, the abomination who carried centuries of memory and struck with unearned precision. In death, the Baron became a cautionary tale, but in truth, he was a prophet of the Imperium's soul. He revealed the rot beneath nobility, the farce of honor, and the fragile veil between civilization and savagery. He was everything the Imperium denied about itself, and everything it needed to survive. And his legacy did not end with his death. Through Ghola resurrection, his mind was revived and shackled under the gaze of a god. Leto the Tude would use his reborn grandfather not as a threat, but as a warning, an eternal reminder of what power untethered from conscience becomes. Even in this twisted second life, the Baron served the empire he once sought to rule as a symbol of its darkest potential. In the end, perhaps the Baron understood something most did not, that history does not remember the just, it remembers the indelible, and in that, he succeeded beyond measure. He did not need love. He needed history to remember him.